Hey guys, this is Rollout with Rollout Reviews, and it turns out that the summer 2016 Bionicle wave has come out before I've finished my winter wave reviews. Whoops. Either way, I don't see that as any reason to postpone these Let's builds, so let's jump right in, starting with Umarak the Destroyer. Basically, our friend Umarak here has decided to put on the Mask of Control, and it doesn't look like it's turned out very well for him. I don't know the specifics at this point. We'll probably learn more information when the second half of The Journey to One comes out. It has not been released at the time of this recording. I can only assume that maybe Makuta is controlling him through his influence in the mask, or maybe the mask is just so unbelievably powerful, it's mutated him and turned him into this crazy, mindless beast that does Makuta's bidding. Either way, it doesn't seem like good news for the island of Akodo. There's some apocalypse now going on in the background here. Before I get to the Let's Build portion of this, I do want to mention that, of course, the chest piece on my original Umarak was a misprint, and I thank everybody who posted that in the comments of this Let's Build, but I have since gotten a replacement from LEGO with that green tooth in the proper place, rather than blank and silver there. So that's definitely interesting. Anyway, let's take a look at this guy's box. You got the very gnarly looking Umarak the Destroyer there, wearing a very mutated looking version of the Mask of Control. You also have Kimu having a bad time there, as well as the island of Akodo kind of exploding. You have this erupting volcano, which does seem very pivotal to the plot this summer, so we'll probably learn more about that later. It's on the box art of every single set in this wave. On the back here, you can see that the three other beasts in this wave combine with Umarak to create this colorful monstrosity, which is kind of terrifying. Then you also have this comic back here. Umarak puts on the mask, transforms, and kind of Freddy's the wall here with his claws, and then you got Ikimu there to stop him. It's once again made out of the much more solid cardboard material, just like last wave, but without further ado, let's crack into it. Of course, this is quite a large set. At $25, it's the same size as the Kopaka and Mellum Unity set. It's also got quite a few pieces and is the largest single figure we've seen at retail so far. So that's kind of exciting. I kind of like to consider this among the first Titan or the first Titan we've seen in the new Bionicle. So that's kind of exciting. I don't know, there's an argument that can be had about whether the $20 sets can be considered Titans or not, but this is definitely the biggest single figure so far. But anyway, let's pull out the bags here. We have several, at least 3 here. We also have a sticker sheet, but that was sort of to be expected, I think. Anything else but the manual inside does not look like it. So yes, he has the same chest piece as 2015 Onua, which LEGO is not able to print on, so he has a sticker sheet. Of course, I'm not happy about it, but I suppose it was unavoidable. I probably will pull off the same trick I did on my 2015 Onua and slice these stickers down the seam line in the chest piece, but I probably won't be doing that in this video. Anyway, let's get the box out of the way, bring down the backdrop here. Oh no, the illusion, it is ruined. Oh well. There we go. And we will zoom in just a little bit. Let's open up the pieces here. However, I do plan on approaching the build a little bit differently than usual. Quite a few bips and bobs, so let's make sure those are out of the package before we move on. Got all of those there. Make sure everything gets out of the bag. And last bag here, the biggest of the bunch with the largest pieces inside. There you go. That is a nice pile of parts. So let's take a quick look at the instructions themselves. So there you go. There is the booklet, same art as before. Same thing we're used to on the back. Nothing particularly unexpected. We got, let's see, how many pages are there? 48 pages, as well as your parts count in the back here. The comic from the back of the box, and this really cool looking face-off poster here. Face-off posters are kind of a staple of the old Bionicle, so it's kind of cool to see that back here. There you have the combiner for this wave. But I'm going to take some advice from our little friend here, and also take influence from how I've been approaching the recent Beat 'em on Let's Builds I've been doing, and I'm actually going to cut away, raise the camera up, and sort the parts out. I want to see if this goes a little bit more smoothly that way, so let's get to that. Moments later, I've got all of the parts sorted out in this tackle box here. We've got some specialized pieces, some shells, some CCBS connector parts, or just kind of anything with a ball joint or a socket. You got some smaller Technic axles and rods and things. You got some accent pieces, some smaller accents up there, the chest piece, and some more traditional Technic over here. It's nothing too technical, but it's certainly more organized than usual. You can also see the instructions in this setup, at least half of them, but that, I suppose, is more than usual, so definitely a plus. This is the first time I'm doing something so organized in a LEGO Let's Build, so definitely tell me what you think in the comments section below. But before I start building, I do want to take a look at some of the new or interesting elements. Here is the new sort of deformed mask of control. Definitely looks pretty freaky. Here it is with the normal mask of control, and quite a change. It has some translucent plastic molded into the top there. You also have this new crystal piece here. It's a shell, technically, but there isn't any connection points on top. Kind of looks like a molar or something, but it's a very interesting piece. You also have these gold horns there, and actually an entirely translucent head piece here. He does have orange eyes, but yeah, the head here is translucent and will show up inside of his mouth. Speaking of his mouth, you also have this jaw piece, kind of very mineral-esque, kind of looks like a rock there, but it goes on the bottom section of the mask and creates this very bestial-looking jaw, which I suppose is the point. You also, of course, have the shadow trap pieces, a staple of Umarak's original design. Speaking of which, you also have some chain links here. You got these little skull spider legs. I believe this is in a new color here as well, in the trans neon green there. You also have, you know, your standard skeleton shells. You got some you know, trans bones as well. So without further ado, let's turn to page 1 and see where this thing goes. Starting off with our gearbox piece. I don't think he actually has a gearbox in his arms. He has the waist swiveling function, and he actually has opening and closing claws, but I don't think he actually utilizes this gearbox, at least, so let's not worry about that. It's just kind of there to hold things together. Even though the parts are all sorted out, I still have to dig through things to find what I'm looking for. So, I don't know if this is a more efficient method. At least I sort of know where to look for the certain parts based on their category. But, I don't know, who knows? Maybe this will be a shorter Let's Build than usual. Maybe nothing will change. If nothing else, I won't have to, mindlessly search for pieces for minutes at a time like I've been known to do in the past. So that'll be good. Hopefully we can avoid that as much as possible. But we're already kind of expanding the chest piece forward here. Ball joints attach here. I actually do really like the look of these sets, and I definitely like the fact that it does seem like stakes have raised since last year. It really feels apocalyptic. It really feels like everything is going to hell, and I love that. Last year, Kolta might have been a challenge. The Skull Grinder might have been a challenge for the Toa to overcome, and I definitely like how he was overcome with, all of the Toa maskless pulling him down and Akimu coming to save the day. I think that was pretty cool. And unfortunately, it does seem like Akimu's sort of doing the same thing this time, where he's sort of coming in and saving the Toa from their demise with his Mask of Creation again, or his hammer, at least. But whatever the case, I do like the stakes being raised in the second year. Anyway, this goes there and there. Speaking of Akimu saving the day, here's something that probably won't happen, just judging by, what this new line seems to be going for. But what I'd like to see happen, quite honestly, is, and hear me out, Akimu potentially dying at the end of this year? Does that seem feasible to anybody? Because it seems like it could be a cool direction to take the series. If next year is going to be the last year, I think it would give this great amount of tension going into the finale. Like, think of it like this. The Toa couldn't beat Umarak or Skull Grinder without the help of Akimu. They cannot defeat these pawns of Makuta without the Mask Maker's help. And then all of a sudden, in the final year, maybe, who knows, we'll see how the line goes at that point, but in the final year, they finally confront Makuta alone. And by alone, I mean without Akimu, of course. It would just, like I said, it would raise the stakes even higher, and it would add this great tension. Like, how do they do it without their mentor, So that would be a cool way of doing things, but I don't know. For some reason, I can't really see them doing that. Akimu kind of plays sort of a Sensei Wu character, relating it back to Ninjago. I don't really follow Ninjago, but that's just what I'm assuming, judging by how these sets have progressed over the years. And they haven't killed him off yet, so I don't really know. It seems like a risk for BIONICLE to take, and right now it doesn't seem like BIONICLE wants to take many risks, so I guess we'll see. But anyway, we've got this whole situation going on here. We're certainly making progress, and we haven't, lost too many pieces in the process at all, which leads me to believe this is definitely a more efficient way of doing things. You can also kind of just see the product being built a whole lot easier with the camera raised up, so that's a plus as well. Anyway, we also need to attach the waist section here. I think I actually ended up placing that in the connectors section, but let's see how squeaky this is. Not very, actually, for now at least. Definitely seems like that varies from time to time. I know that LEGO sometimes produces different materials in different factories. So like this softer plastic here that the horns are made out of, as opposed to kind of the more rigid plastic like the shells are made out of. I don't really know how accurate that is, but that's just sort of an example, albeit maybe not very true. I don't really know exactly how these are produced, but I do know that sometimes they do make different materials in different factories, and sometimes they do make the same materials in varied factories as well. So maybe the ones that squeak more were made in a different factory than the ones that don't squeak. I don't really know. I'm just guessing here, but it sounds good, so we're gonna roll with that. You have the gunmetal piece here, which is seen on General Grievous, actually. I don't think we've seen this on a Bionicle set yet, so that's kind of cool. That goes on the back here for, well, back armor. That's nice to see. Then that slides on there, and we get one of these gears here. Once again, you know, they're shying away since the beginning of 2016 from the bright yellow gear, which is definitely a plus in some ways. Okay, now we add this piece to the front here, and it actually looks like these shoulder pads just plug on to these connectors here, these axle connectors. So they don't have any movement at all like they did last year, unfortunately. Okay, so now we add Umarak's signature chain here that kind of hangs off of his right shoulder. So that is made up of 4 links. And I got those way over here. I got to reach all the way into that corner there. And then we need one of these connector pieces. Like that. And that'll go on just like it did in the original set. So while this guy looks very, very different from Umarak's original form, at least he's got a few defining features, like the shoulder pads, like that little chain there. I mean, Hulk doesn't look that much like Bruce Banner, right? You know, the roided out Super Bane doesn't look like the little puny Bane before he gets injected with toxin or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. It's surprisingly fine to me that this Umarak doesn't look too much like his original form. However, it would have been cool to at least see the stag horns back. He just kind of has these normal, like, bison horns, I guess, as opposed to the more elk, stag looking horns. Speaking of which, in The Journey to One, Liwa refers to Umarak as having horns like a stag, but it's like, do stag exist on Akodo? Like, how would he know? How would he have that kind of reference if he'd never seen that animal before? Seems kind of weird to me, but I guess it doesn't really have to make that much sense. It's just sort of reference so that kids kind of either learn a new word or kind of understand what he's talking about in the context of our world rather than their world. But whatever the case, it was kind of weird to me. Kind of interesting, at least. I don't know, maybe stag do exist on Akodo. What I'd really like to see is, like, a G2 equivalent of the Master Builder set from, was it 2002 or 2003? I don't know. It was this mainly Technic set. It was a set mainly comprised of Technic pieces. And it was just like 25, 23, 22, 20-something different models that could be built with the pieces. Very similar to like the creator sets nowadays, where you can kind of build multiple models with a single set. And you could build like 20 different Rahi. Very, very cool. I do have that set. It's actually fairly rare, but I do own it. And I kind of wanted to review it when I was doing my 2002 reviews, but I don't really know how to approach it. So maybe that'll come later, maybe it won't. But it would have been cool, rather. I don't really expect anything like it at this point to come out. But it would have been cool to see like an Akodo Master Builder set that just had a bunch of wildlife all throughout Akodo. Definitely would have built the world up a little bit better. But I digress. All right, so now we need to attach these pieces here. Actually, that attaches down there like that. I believe we're building his, like, neck assembly, which is very weird, and it does seem a little bit gappy, but once I have the whole thing, I'll evaluate that a little bit more. Since I've been taking much longer to get my reviews out in the past, year or so, I do plan on elaborating on my first impressions a little bit more by the end of this video to kind of give you more of a taste of my critical opinion before the video is done. So hopefully that'll be better than kind of the cliffhanger I leave things at usually in these Let's Builds, if that makes any sense. Am I intelligible at this point? Kind of just paying attention to the instructions. And talking words, speaking words. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a break for a bit. That's probably better for everyone. So enjoy the silence for a little while here. Oh, probably should get that on camera. Seems like this guy has doom spikes, which is neat, I guess. They're probably about just as effective as skull bashers. These sets aren't actually on the BIONICLE website at the time of this recording, so we don't have any little tidbits of information like that yet, as far as I know. So, no doom spikes for Umarak the Destroyer. Anyway, now we attach the chest piece here, and the instructions would have you add the stickers at this point. It's a little bit of, I don't know, weird residue, or at least like dust or something, I don't know, on this here. Maybe that's just a side effect of the molding process, but the instructions do have you apply these stickers at this point, and like I said, I'm going to apply those after the fact, just so that I don't screw up, because slicing the stickers so that they line up along that seam line, like I did with Onua, as I've mentioned, is a very tricky and precise process, and so I don't really trust myself with that on camera. But anyway, let's set this off to the side. I got this very big chest piece, which is encouraging, but let's start with the legs here. Is this the proper piece here? Yep, just a 3 long. And he actually has very similar legs in some ways, excuse me, to General Grievous, actually, with the way he has like this smaller foot that goes into the back of this larger foot here. So that's kind of cool. I'm actually glad that I built General Grievous, because it feels like the Star Wars sets have definitely influenced the you know, the Bionicle sets in some ways, and specifically, as I've mentioned, this guy in particular seems influenced by Grievous in some ways. Which is not a bad thing, because Grievous is a spectacular set. So there we go. Got that going on here. And this is where things start to differentiate, because he does have kind of weird Technic-built legs, similar to his first form. Although, judging by pictures, I feel like maybe these ones were planned out a little bit better in some ways. Although I really do like Umarak's legs. They're surprisingly, the original Umarak rather, they're surprisingly effective. Like, all the joints work together very, very well. So, I don't know. I guess what I'm getting at is I think this looks a little bit better in some ways. But we'll see once we've got it put together here. I'm wondering if it's going to have me just double this, or have a second set of instructions mirroring it. What page are we at? 18? So yeah, there's a wide... What am I getting at here? There's a while to go. I don't know why I said wide, but there is a while to go yet. So maybe it does have me build the mirrored image rather than a duplicate. I don't know. I don't really know. Again, I'm kind of at the point of rambling, so maybe I should just stop. Let the build happen. Calm down and just let it go wherever the build takes me. He's got Bullrock eyes everywhere, just like his previous form. However, this time they're trans neon green, and that is another interesting point. This guy's color scheme has changed a bit. Instead of apple green, he's got the trans neon green, which is interesting. I mean, maybe it's like the ooze from the pits of Akodo coming out, and as the island explodes, and I don't know. like I said, there's that volcano erupting in the background, and the ground is completely destroyed. And in the background art of most of the sets, you got, Toa on their knees having been defeated. It looks like Akimu included, so it's bad news bears. But anyway, there you have a leg, and now we'll see. Yeah, it actually does have us build the mirrored image, of course, in separate steps, which I probably should have expected because these are, at different points on either leg. But there's the leg, and yeah, it's got kind of a similar amount of range as the original leg construction did. Maybe a little bit more because of how this piece is attached there. That's kind of an interesting way of doing things. Anyway, let's set this off to the side and work on the second leg. All right, I think this is the last 3 long, so don't have to worry about that anymore. Yeah, if you've watched my finger popped there. Anyway, if you've watched my Let's Build for Toa Mata Nui, I talked about how I usually, if you have 2 mirrored limbs, I usually like building them side by side. But after that Let's Build, I'm not sure if that's a super effective method anymore. Maybe I talked about this in my Let's Builds rather for the previous wave, but I guess it's still worth mentioning here, since I'm building them separately like the instructions would have me do, rather than the way I usually do it. I'm in an instruction-following mood today, I guess. So, second verse, practically the same as the first here. That goes there. This goes here. That goes there. I've ran out of things to talk about when I'm just saying, oh yeah, and then this piece, and then this piece, and then this piece. Oh well. Okay. These are definitely more, casual and a little bit more easygoing and easier to do, I think, than the Let's Builds where I actually have decided on a subject to talk about. Recently, I tried doing a Let's Build for Takanuva, and the idea was that I'd ramble on about my opinions on the first half of the Netflix series The Journey to One. And it was just a disaster. I had so much to say. The set wasn't all that complex. And staying on track while building something completely different and very, very only loosely related to the subject material was an absolute chore. Somebody in the comments section suggested that I instead split the discussion up into 2 Let's Builds and build both Takanuva from 2003 and Titan Makuta. But I also tried that, and it was equally as disastrous. I think I actually might try the same sort of formula, the same kind of concept once again after the second half of The Journey to One comes out, so I can kind of give a review on the series as a whole rather than just the first half. In fact, that seems to make a little bit more sense anyway. Anyway, here are the legs, which don't actually seem as long as Umarak the Hunter's, so his proportions definitely shifted a fair bit when he was transformed here, but he definitely looks pretty stocky with this huge chest and these kind of small upper legs. Excuse me once again. But yeah, this guy's actually rather large, and we might have a difficult time getting him on camera. Of course, once I've finished building this, I'm going to shift the camera angle once again and do some comparisons, but of course we gotta finish building it first. So, now we're building his big old hands, it seems like. That goes there. And that goes there. Actually, this needs to be double layered before I slide this piece in. Is that the first time we've backtracked? I've had to remove a piece? It might be. This system's definitely working. I guess it doesn't really change the runtime, though, because it's been, you know, a good little while since the video has started here. These Let's Builds don't seem to get any shorter, but this sure is a bigger set than usual, so I don't know. As long as it's around the same time as the Unity set Let's Build, I think we're in the clear here. Although, generally, I don't care about how long these things take anyway. If you've stuck around for this long, you're probably going to stick around till the end, and I definitely appreciate that. But anyway, you got a gear here. Gear functions in the hands, or functions in the hands at all. Kind of reminds me of Nadiki from 2004. Whoops, kind of pulled that out there. Let's replace that divider back. Yeah, like I said, kind of reminds me of Nadiki, where he kind of has that little gimmick using that rubber piece where his claws open and close. Although this is a little bit different. It's like an actual gear function. You like open the thumb and the other two fingers open, which is kind of cool, actually. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it plays once I've got it built, of course. Actually, I'm noticing some extra little spike pieces over in the corner here. Do those go on the feet like they do on the original Umarak? It doesn't seem like it, so oh well. We won't worry about that until later, I suppose. Actually, maybe they go on the hands. Now I seem to be remembering them actually going on the hands, so that could be right. We're pretty close, so I'm sure we'll find out in just a second. So this slides through here, and you got this Glatorian neck here. There sure are a lot of Glatorian necks in this set. This is one of my favorite Bionicle CCBS Technic pieces, actually. So if you're looking for those, then this is a set to get, I suppose. Or you could just bricklink them, either way. Okay, so let's see. Gotta make sure to line this up right. It seems like that might be the proper orientation for it. Like that. That looks right. Enough. Okay, so now we've got a thumb, which goes on here. And I think second and third verse are same as the first, or actually no, slightly different, but similar concept at least. And once those are together, Umarak here has some grabby hands. So he's got this gear here, and I guess this piece is meant to activate it, I suppose. So he's got these grabby hands, which is kind of cool. So then, these attach there, and yes, it looks like I was right. These pieces here go on just like that. Then last but not least, these kind of molar crystal pieces go on there, and I feel like they probably go a certain way. Ah! Is it symmetrical? It's kind of hard to tell from this picture which way it goes. I'm going to guess it goes like that. So there you go. His upper arms are kind of short, but he has these big old hands. So that should attach to the body. Just like so. I'm loving how big this guy's getting. This is very cool. Like I said, this guy feels like a Titan, much more so than any of the $20 sets, which is interesting because he is only $5 more. Let's see. Am I missing something here? This little axle piece is kind of sticking out a little bit further. Yes, it actually does seem like I missed something. So this is supposed to slide down, and there's actually another bushing that's supposed to go on the end there. Like that. So let's not forget that when we build the other hand. Yeah, this guy's getting really big. That's very cool. Okay. So, now, where am I? Where is this place? Who am I? Alright. Now, we build the second hand. That actually took a lot longer than I expected to build the hand there, but, oh well. Let's not waste more time by complaining about it. Is this? No. We're actually close to done here. Not too many pieces left, which is good to see. It's nice to see progress, especially at the pace I usually move at. And then, Glatorian neck, gear. There's a fair bit of friction in these hands too, which is good. Won't necessarily flop around. It is kind of a shame. I guess it wouldn't have made a whole lot of sense with his, monstrous appearance and these big hands, but it is unfortunate that Umarak no longer has his bow in this form. Oh well, that was one of my favorite features about the original Umarak, and it's kind of forgoed for the whole, rage monster approach. Which I've always found a little bit less interesting. I had a friend back in the day who his favorite characters were always the big monstrous ones, the ones with 4 arms, or the ones with like the Hulk, the big brute characters. And since Onua was strong and a little bit hunched over, Onua was his favorite Toa. But I was never into that sort of thing. I always liked the cool kind of slim, calm, collected characters that don't appear very strong, but kind of outwit the strong, brute-looking characters with their intelligence. So that's probably why Kopaka was my favorite Toa in G1, and still is my favorite Toa in G1. Although, I've said it before, Aniwa comes a very, very close second for completely different reasons. But there you go. There you have a second hand. All that's left to do is attach this on like that. Is that right? Seems like this is out further than before, but maybe I'm just crazy. Probably that. So you got a second grabby hand. Oh, almost forgot the molar piece here, and I've got to make that mirror the other side. So can you even see that? I guess we're just gonna work with that. Does that look right? Seems right to me. Okay. So, other arm. Get! And now we got Umarak the grabby hand man. Let's see if we can't get him grabbing. That's kind of cool. And also very silly. But equal portions of both are never a bad thing in my opinion. So, now we get to move on to the head here, and I think that's the last step. We're in the home stretch, people. So, got this long rod piece here. That slides through there. That goes on there. And actually, I think the other beasts in this wave have clear eye stalks as well as the, not clear, but transneon green, that's what I'm trying to say, as well as the transneon green headpiece here. But Umarak has kind of a mixture of orange and trans green, which definitely looks really weird from the front, but hopefully that'll be rectified once we attach the mask.
So that goes on there. And this goes on here. Next, like I said, he's kind of got these more bull-like horns than before, than the stag horns. Don't like them as much, but I suppose they're fine. I guess they're supposed to be like an extension of the horns on the Mask of Control, which is an interesting idea. Then you have this jaw piece, which, well, of course I need some axles to attach it, but once I do that, it goes on just like that. And that looks strange. Looks like he's got a beard or something, but now we can attach the head. Can't even see that, jeez. Don't need the instructions at this point, so I'll set those off to the side to make room for this. Yikes. This guy's gigantic. Not a bad thing. Very, very cool. And then, piece de resistance. There goes the mask. And yeah, like I said, you know, the Mask of Control has this, has these horns on either side. And I guess that's what these are supposed to be, like exaggerated extensions of those. Like I said, very interesting approach to that. But here are all of the access pieces. You got a couple little things as well as an extra little spike up here in the corner. Not too bad. So, I guess all that's left to do is perhaps apply these stickers over the brake, and then I'll come back with the camera in a more appropriate position, and like I said, we'll do some comparisons and I'll have some final thoughts. So after several careful, shaky, nerve-wracking minutes, I finally have these stickers applied to Umarak's chest piece. And they look pretty good, actually. I did implement the same technique I used on 2015 Onua's stickers, where I cut along the sticker where it will line up with the corner in the plastic, and it creates this very sharp, clean-looking seam line that will prevent any air bubbles from forming underneath. Here it is with Onua's chest piece, and if you want to do this for yourself, I'll have a link in the description to the video where I showcase the method, and it's very particular, so be sure to follow those steps. You don't just want to go at it willy-nilly with an X-Acto knife or something. Unfortunately, it doesn't have, like, the chest mouth that Umarak had in his previous form. I think that would have been a good way to, link the two forms aside from the backwards legs and the horns. But alas, one of my favorite design elements is not present here, nor is the bark towards the bottom. It's much more of a rocky approach where the green ooze is erupting from the cracks. Doesn't look bad, though. So let's attach it to his chest here to complete Umarak the Destroyer's look. And I just really like the way this guy turned out. He's very big and imposing, and it's so satisfying to get a big and imposing villain in the new Bionicle after Kolta the Skull Grinder was only as tall as 2015 Tahu. And while Umarak the Hunter was only about the same height as Uniter Tahu, this guy towers over him, which is good to see. If you stand him up completely straight, I'd say he's almost a mask taller, and he's obviously much more massive, much wider, and much more intimidating. Of course, here he is next to his early 2016 form here. So let me get that in. The Hunter here, and of course, like I said, a much different look, both with the color scheme and just the overall aesthetic. Honestly, I think I like the way the Hunter looks a little bit more still, but this guy is still very, very cool. And like I said, he's just kind of impressive in his mass, I guess. And then, speaking of Kolta, one last kind of surprise comparison here. So since it's been a year since last summer, most of the summer 2015 sets have been on sale, on clearance, online and in stores. So I managed to get both sets that make this up pretty cheap, and here is Umarak the Destroyer with the powered up Skull Grinder.
This is a combiner model using Maskmaker versus Skull Grinder and Skull Scorpio, and it's sort of supposed to represent Kulta using the Mask of Creation, and this is sort of what he looks like when he's powered up. It's technically not canon, it's never elaborated on in the book, and it never shows up in the animation, but that said, I love this thing. This is awesome. Like, one of the best combiner models in years. It's just so solid and looks really cool, and he's got this big weapon. Anyway, it's not about this guy. I did want to get this guy and build him up so that I could compare him to Umarak the Destroyer. This is, Kulta, in super rage mode using the Mask of Creation, and this is Umarak in super rage mode using the Mask of Control. So there they are, and I think they actually look really, really good together. Man, legendary masks, not even once. So, anyway, until next time, that is about it, guys, and this is IX Roll at IX, signing off.